Welcome to episode 1
Ooh.
of Filmzero Presents.
The Phantom Menace.
Hopefully it'll be better than the Phantom Menace. I don't know, we'll see. We are joined today by
Matt Brooks.
and
Ryan McGinley.
yes, and we're going to talk about the year review 2016 of movies. All right, so
Well, we're going to start first with our biggest disappointment of the year. Kind of a movie that kind of fell flat. Now, for me, this is a movie that I was kind of reluctant to see, and I finally bit the bullet and saw it, and it is The Witch.
oh, you
The
did
Witch.
see it.
I did finally see The Witch, and my first instincts basically were correct.
You didn't like it.
I did not like The
You didn't
Witch.
like it?
Originally, when I read the reviews of it, it seemed like it was a little too artsy. And let me try to convey this as best I can. The movie was shot well.
It was shot very
It
well.
was shot very well, but there were a few problems I had with it. One, I didn't really care about any of the characters. They were very unlikable. They were just I just wasn't invested in any of the characters. It was very slow moving. Probably the best actor in the movie was the goat,
The goat.
which is not a good sign when animals are out acting to people. There was just a lot of things that didn't make any sense. The ending was really ridiculous, and overall, the movie just left a bad taste in my mouth. It kind of reminded me more of like a twisted version of the Happy Days Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, okay.
So I was not a fan of The Witch. So that's my disappointment of 2016.
Who directed The Witch?
His last name was Eggers. I don't know, it was David Eggers.
Okay.
It was kind of like it's one of those movies that a lot of like people love or they hate. It's a very polarizing movie.
Yeah.
A lot of critics liked it. A lot of hipsters like it. I wasn't a fan. It just wasn't.
I was kind of
Wasn't it?
middle of the road with The Witch. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad. I think it was shot extremely well.
Yeah, it was shot well.
The cinematography, whoever did it, should win an award. But as far as the pacing, the plot, I'm not going to bash it because a lot of people love it and love that style. But
Yeah.
it wasn't exactly for me. But I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was great either. I'm kind of middle of the road with it. It was just okay for me as
Yeah.
far as that film goes. So I mean, that's not my movie for worst disasters of the year. My worst disaster of the year is not, as far as disappointments go, I haven't seen this movie, but as far as box office disappointments and just overall issues with a film, I think Ghostbusters has to take it as far as pop culture goes. That's not my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I just think that movie maybe even higher than Superman versus Batman. You know?
Yeah, well, a lot of people hated
I think
the whole concept of it. I know it was an unnecessary remake.
How do you guys feel? I mean, I don't want to be too long-winded. How do you guys feel about remakes?
I don't really care for remakes, but
It has to be done a certain
I
way.
think it has to be done a certain way.
Is this was this meant to kick off a new franchise
I
with the
think so,
ladies and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and I don't think it didn't resonate with an audience. No one really cared for it. There was a huge backlash against the trailer before the movie even came out. Everyone knows that. I'm not saying anything that's not already widely publicized, but like I said, this isn't this is my personal opinion. This is just what I think the biggest problematic bomb of the year is
the Ghostbusters. So there's like okay. All right.
So Ryan,
So-
you have it
but-
personal, or just something you think
Just to put a
is
period
widely
on the whole,
publicized as being a bomb this
just
year.
to put a whole period on the Ghostbusters thing. If memory serves, if you guys remember back to the summer of '89, which was a big summer for films. You had Lethal Weapon 2, you had Batman, you had Last Crusade, and Ghostbusters 2. Even Ghostbusters 2, that was kind of pooped on. That didn't measure up to the first one
Yeah,
when it
it
comes to
was a
box
disappointment. I
office.
remember seeing that in the theaters.
I enjoyed
yeah.
Ghostbusters 2.
Well, I think they waited too long to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's what I wanted to bring up tonight.
5 years is quite a while.
Like the remakes and like these years later sequels and stuff like that. I mean, do you think?
I think maybe if they had done Ghostbusters 2 in '86, 2 years after the first one, I think it might have done a little bit. I mean, '89, they were stretching it a bit, but as that's what they did.
Mhm.
We can't change history, but so getting
So,
back
yeah, what's your
to
biggest
your
disappointment?
biggest disappointment,
My biggest
or
disappointment-
just what you think, society says
See,
was
and
a huge one.
the sad thing is, and I am Mr. Movie, is that I haven't seen a lot of 2016.
Oh yeah, you saw a lot
films.
on DVD or Blu-ray.
I saw a lot on DVD and Blu-ray,
yeah,
but
so that's what-
I didn't.
So you haven't seen a movie yet
Well-
this year that you just were disappointed?
No,
that came out this year,
but I
or-
haven't like been really jumping on every single big weekend film. Like in the summertime, I didn't. I mean, I haven't even seen Rogue One yet. But the fact of the matter is,
The man hasn't
I
seen
did-
Rogue One.
I did pick up.
Hasn't seen
I was
Rogue One.
very disappointed.
You saw Rogue One.
Yeah.
I saw Rogue One.
Independence Day Resurgence.
Okay, so
That
yeah,
is
a lot
my
of people
big-
didn't
I
miss
haven't
out.
seen that, but I
That
don't
is
think I want
a
to.
big disappointment. I went out and I bought it before I saw it, which I have done many times. I'm very guilty of this. And I remember, I can't speak for you guys. I'm sure you guys, please voice your opinions. Going back in time 20 years, I mean, Independence Day was a big movie when it came out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
You know
not
what? I
saying.
saw it in the theater when it came
Yeah.
out.
I saw it in theaters
so
too.
I
did I.
saw it in the theater. You
And,
saw it in the theater? We also, wow.
I remember.
We didn't even know
remember
each other.
liking
then.
No,
Yeah.
that
But we
was
all
like
saw it in the theater.
that was the biggest movie of '96.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It was.
didn't that start the whole thing with Will Smith being like the king of 4th of July weekend? Like
Yeah, oh
every Will
right.
Smith
Because I think
movie
Men in
out.
Black was the
Yeah.
following year,
Yeah.
right?
Came out, and then
And,
he
uh,
was.
I think '98 was kind of a break for him.
Wild
but
Wild
then
West.
They put Wild Wild West
Yeah.
out in '99. But okay, once again, not to be too long-winded, it's just once again going along with Matt. The characters that now, this was a sequel. The Wish was not a sequel, but a lot of the characters were back, and you're like, okay, great, but then they didn't really do anything with it, and people were spoilers. People were killed off or something happened, like something, but it just didn't. I mean, it
This
felt
is
like
soda. This is
yeah.
not beer. This is soda.
it felt like a Michael Bay Transformers movie. It's just
Oh, really?
what the hell's going on? Things are moving way too fast. Yes,
Well,
special
don't you think
effects.
that's the new style of filmmaking in Hollywood?
Well,
though? Especially the summer blockbusters.
it really
That's how they-
shouldn't be.
That's how they do it now. I mean, there's a really big difference from '96 to 2016.
Well, then there must be something wrong with my brain because I cannot focus in on all these things going on at once or
the
something
shaky
like that.
camera.
No, the camera was not even shaking. There was
Okay.
just like way too much activity going on in front of my eyes at one time.
Mhm.
Okay, so too much going on.
Too much going on.
Too much going on. Okay.
All right, so
so-
Independence Day.
Independence Day
Resurgence.
Resurgence. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but skip that one.
So we're gonna
Watch the old one again.
We're gonna go. We're gonna just continue with Ryan real quick. We're gonna ask Ryan. We want your top three.
So let's just do number 3 for all of us first. Why don't you do number 3 first,
Number
Ryan?
three. Number
Yeah.
three.
Do number
Number three.
three.
Now, the fellas are going to get upset with me. It was a big year for comic book movies. And once again, I did not see a lot of... One movie I did want to see, and I don't want to be too long with this, was The Arrival.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys saw trailers for that. It was
I
very
haven't
well
seen it.
reviewed.
Okay.
It's got Lois Lane's in it or something like that. But it was very well reviewed. I did not see that, though. I think it kind of came and went with little fanfare, but that was very well reviewed. I'm actually very disappointed that I missed that one. But one movie I did like that I'm sure you guys have not seen yet, and it's a comic book movie, was Captain America.
Oh,
Yeah, I
haven't
didn't see
seen
that. Yeah.
I haven't
It
seen
was
that.
very
A lot of people
good.
did like it.
It was very good. Comic book movies have come a long way, fellas. They really have. I'm not gonna. I would never kind of put box office with quality of film in the same bracket, but people went to see it. I mean, it got some good reviews. Robert Downey Jr.'s in it, which is always a plus. But
It is. Iron Man
no,
himself.
that's my number 3.
All right, number 3. All right, Phil, number 3 for you.
All right. So number 3 for me, I'm gonna say, is probably The Conjuring 2, and it's definitely in my top 3 because I think The Conjuring, the original Conjuring, was one of the most effective horror movies come along in many years. The first one, and even though I liked the first Conjuring better than I liked the second one, and a lot of people will disagree with that, but I just think that it's one of the best horror films, or just films in general, of 2016.
I think that's the only movie Ryan saw in the theaters this year, right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
We all saw that actually.
One thing we all saw that together.
Yeah, and the funny story about that is actually Conjuring 2 is on my list. I'm not gonna tell you where it is, but
It's on your list.
I have but
Conjuring 2 is number 2 for me. Number 3 for me. I'm sorry. Number 1, I'm not going to say what it is yet. We're gonna figure it out. But Conjuring 2.
Look at all
I
this.
love Ed, Lorraine Warren. I think that they have something going with these films, this franchise, that they have a good opportunity to keep going with them and make more and more and more. They're doing it, you know, with a lot of movies. They did it with The Purge, and you know, I think that The Conjuring has even more of a chance to gain a following and gain a fan base. And what I wish, and this is getting off topic a little bit, but I wish they do it. It Follows 2. If anyone's watching,
Eventually,
It
they'll probably
Follows 2
do that.
because that movie that didn't
was a
come
good
out
movie.
this year,
And-
but I'm waiting for.
And
a
that's one of
sequel.
those movies also kind of like The Witch is polarizing. I really liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people see. Whereas The Witch I thought was kind of boring. It Follows I thought was suspenseful, but
It was.
but that was one of those
It
polarizing
reminded me
movies.
a lot of John Carpenter.
Yeah.
It's very good.
But Conjuring
So-
2, I felt, was more suspenseful than Conjuring 1.
You think so, yeah?
because,
I disagree.
Spoilers.
Careful with the spoilers.
Wasn't Lorraine having some kind of thoughts about the death of Ed or something like that?
Yeah, she was. So we didn't know if he was going to die or if he was going to live. I mean, we all know he was going to live.
But speaking from a production standpoint and looking at it from, you know, as viewers, I do appreciate the chemistry between Vera, was it Farmiga,
Mhm.
and Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, their chemistry is
Very
incredible.
good. I mean, and you know, you can't manufacture that. It's either
Yeah.
there or it's not there.
I like his Elvis. Covers.
That kind, I could do without that.
You didn't like that?
Yeah, I like that scene.
I like it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like. I mean, it wasn't my favorite part of the movie.
I wouldn't say I could do
I
it.
liked it.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it though. I thought it was a
I
little.
thought it added a little
Okay.
It
something.
was a little bit of
Yeah.
a tension breaker.
Yeah, I
Actually,
agree.
yeah, isn't that what Hitchcock said? Once you can't just have tension all the time, you can't have
Can't have
suspense all the time.
You got to give the
Yeah.
audience a little bit of a break.
Comic
chance to
relief.
breathe, a chance
Yeah,
to
not even comic, but just some kind of a
Yeah.
tension breaker, you know.
Yeah.
So Matt, number 3.
All right, now my number 3 movie is a movie called Hush that I actually saw over at Phil's house, over in this house right now. We saw it on Netflix. It was released to Netflix, I believe, in April. I could be wrong, but I think it was in April.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a combination of a like a home invasion slasher movie, and I thought it was very suspenseful. They did something in the movie that very few slasher movies can get away with, and that is the killer took his mask off and talked. So Hush is sort of a movie that I wish I could have seen in the theater, because I think it was very suspenseful. You really care about the main character. Like I said, like the whole twist there with the killer like talking and everything with the removing the mask, I think it was kind of ingenious because it normally doesn't work. So that would be my number 3 movie.
So what? I have a question. So why do you think it normally doesn't work, and why do you think it worked here?
I don't see. This is one of those things that's hard to explain. It's usually when the killer takes a mask off and starts talking, it's done in I don't know, like the killer is like less threatening. In this case, though, the killer was more threatening. I thought, or not more threatening. Maybe like he was still like intimidating. He was whoever the actor, I don't know who the actor was who played the killer, but he was very like intense.
Well, you're a filmmaker. Would you ever attempt to try something as risky as that?
No, and that's why I liked it, because that's something I normally
You're
would not
old school,
try.
because you film
So that's-
myself are old school when
Yeah.
it comes to slasher films and stuff like that. Because
We don't like to have reveals.
there's the
of masks.
mystique.
Yeah, the mystique is ruined, right?
No reveals of masks.
And this is why I admire this movie so much, because it did something, it broke the rules, and it got away with it.
Yeah,
And
Hush
I-
was a good movie. It really was. It was incredible.
It was one that really stood out as far as one of these, like, it's like home invasion
And the
slasher.
lead character, the female protagonist, she was a writer,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, she was a writer. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was an interesting angle too.
It was a good movie. So you guys check it
So-
out, Hush.
So that's number
It's
3
good.
for me.
It's
So
good.
let's go to number 2 now with Ryan.
Yeah.
What was your number
What do you
2
think?
movie?
Well, these are not. This is just my random 3. This is not the best.
Well, just
middle,
whatever you feel like your
or-
second
Yeah,
favorite
well,
movie.
There's a reason why we're all
Yeah.
partners and friends and stuff. Conjuring 2 is on my list.
Okay. Is it number 2 or?
It's
Well,
just on.
it's
the
okay,
list.
so we'll say
on
it's
the
number
list.
2.
I probably started in the wrong order.
Well, let's just call it-
The thing
let's
is-
call it number
and
2.
Yeah,
once
for the
again,
sake of
I'm
argument.
I'm gonna say something different than Matt did. I appreciate the characters. I appreciate a sequel. It had me just as the first one did, because Phil, God bless him, had to talk me into watching Conjuring 1 because I'm kind of fickle when it comes to things I'm not familiar with.
He's not fickle. He's stubborn.
Ah.
I think stubborn's the better word here.
I think fickle's the
You're stubborn.
classier. But
I have to drag you in, like, say, come on.
Like the kid will eat the chicken fingers and the mac and cheese at a restaurant.
Right, right.
It's like, come on, try the. But the thing was, okay. But it comes down to the whole sequel logic thing. We've discussed sequels off camera and stuff like that. Sequels either float or they sink and stuff like that. Now, fortunately, The Conjuring 1 set the bar so high, and the same director came back.
Yeah.
The same
James Wan.
That's right. And so many times they don't. They just think, oh, okay, The Conjuring.
I'm glad he came back because
absolutely.
Because usually they have somebody else come on and take over the sequel, and it's not as good.
Also, a lot of times the director doesn't want to come back. That's another thing too. He doesn't want to come back because if the first one was
it's
so
either
good,
fear,
they're afraid. I think
it's either fear or failure.
They want to go out on a high note,
or they don't get the money they want.
Right.
I think a lot of it is a high note thing. I think more than anything, it's a high note thing because usually they always, if something's successful, they want most likely more times than not always get the money they want for a sequel. I think it's more out of fear than not living up to the first one.
Well, how come Spielberg didn't come back for as well as 2? Because he was busy with something else, or they just didn't ask him? Or?
Well, he went through a hell with the first one.
That's right.
So, I mean, I don't know Spielberg's reasonings. I'm not going to pretend I know. I don't know exactly.
The shark is not working.
One thing I do know for a fact is he went through hell with the first one. Maybe he just
had a bad experience.
Maybe he just didn't want it. Maybe he was afraid. Maybe he just didn't want it. Maybe he just wanted to do something else. I don't know. That I don't know. But
I think James Wan,
where would you say?
I think James Wan likes the genre. So maybe
he's a fan of.
He's a huge fan of genre.
He's a horror fan. From
where
what
would you say Conjuring 2 falls in with Conjuring 1? Better or worse?
It's
or
not as
level?
good. I didn't care about the family as much as I did the first family.
Same here.
But I care about the Warrens. So even if the Warrens were going to Disney World for the movie, I would probably follow them. But you know,
Mickey is a ghost.
Yeah, I know.
They're being.
All right, so
Space Mountain is haunted.
So Phil, what's your number 2 movie of
Lights Out.
2016? What's that?
Lights Out.
Lights Out.
At least as far as my
Okay.
favorite horror movies. My number 1 movie is not a horror movie, but
All right.
Lights Out
What's that?
stood out in my mind because Lights Out was a movie that, if I'm not mistaken, was a short film first.
Right.
And then was turned into a feature film. And it's high concept, kind of like It Follows. I like the high concept where, 2016, I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't think that a movie like this has ever been done as far as the concept goes, where when you have a light on, everything looks perfectly fine. And as soon as you turn it off, you can see something standing there. Turn it off. I mean, the opening, first like 10, 15 minutes of it, I was watching it. I was just like blown away. I was like, whoa, because they turn the light out, and all of a sudden, the archway, you see a silhouette of light coming back behind. You can see this person just standing there, and then the the character turned the light back on, and then nothing was there. Off, and it was there. Back on, nothing. I was like, whoa, that's creepy. It's very,
that's one I have to check
very
out.
Effective.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see Lights Out.
I was just like, wow, it's high concept. High concept, and I think it was executed well. There's a whole backstory. I'm not going to spoiler alert anything. I'm not going to spoil anything about the movie as far as the plot, the characters go, any kind of ending. Just take my word for it. It's creepy. It's effective. It's well written, well executed, and you should definitely check it out. For all you people out there, and you should too, and so should you.
I will, yeah. All right. So my number 2 movie is a movie called Green Room.
I saw that. It was good.
Yeah, Green Room is sort of like, I don't know if you would call it it's kind of like a horror thriller. I consider it a horror. Hard to see. To me, horror movies don't have to have like a zombie or a vampire. They can have killers. They can be suspenseful. This is a movie about a punk band that basically is at the wrong place in the wrong time, and they're playing a show at a neo-Nazi compound, and then they witness a murder, and it's basically like a siege film, like where these Nazis are attempting to basically kill this band,
right?
and I think it's a very suspenseful movie. It's very violent. It's very graphic, but it's very like sets a very like somber tone.
And it stars
Patrick Stewart.
Right, Patrick Stewart
is actually
Star Trek fame and
then the other actor from, I always forget his name. What's the actor that passed away this year? The guy that was in the new Star Trek movies.
Anton.
It's Anton. What's his last name?
Yelchin.
Yeah, he's actually really good. He plays one of the members of the band. Yeah,
he's a good actor.
And that's one of his last movies, I think,
and
before
I
he
think
died.
I mentioned before that they're both Star Trek alums. And
Yeah.
we apologize for not knowing his name right off the bat. But he died in the most ridiculous way.
Yeah, it was like a freak accident with a
complete freak. It's like some like Final Destination.
I know.
I was
It
like,
is.
what
Yeah.
the
It is a Final
hell? When I
Destination,
read
yeah.
that, I was
Yeah.
like, that's like something right out of Final Destination. Like his car backed up on him because the brake wasn't on or something, and he couldn't get out. I was like, oh my god.
And this
God,
and this is
come on.
probably one of his
It's
last
such a
movies.
shame. It's really.
And it was a
big
very
accidents.
it was tragic when you actually look. I think I actually saw this movie right after he passed away, like maybe
Yeah,
a
we
week
both
later.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we.
and
Yeah.
it was over the summer. And this is another movie. Like I think it was released in theaters, but it was a limited release, so I never saw it in theaters. I had to wait until it came out on Redbox. But I really like this movie. Patrick Stewart is actually really good. He plays the leader of like the neo-Nazis in this compound. He's a great villain. I mean, he's a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, and I loved him in this role.
He's got good presence.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend anybody checking that out if you haven't seen it. So number 2 for me is Green Room.
Okay. That was great.
Now at this point, before we move on to the number 1 slot, how about we show our audience a clip of our new short film that we just released.
A short-term effect.
Short-term effect.
Is available on our channel.
Yeah.
Filmzero presents. And we hope you guys check it out because I think it's only 8 minutes long, something you guys could really appreciate. And we got another one coming up very soon called Going Home, which will be posted probably next week or two. So here's a clip from A Short-Term Effect.
It's going to take a while. You know, we were together for 3 years, and, you know, hey, Aaron, can I give you a call back a little later? I want to get my walk in before my day at work. Yes, I promise. I said I promise. Okay. All right, bye, sweetie. Do you need any help?
Jesus Christ, you just scared the hell out of me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just not used to seeing musicians walking around Duncan Park.
Sorry, mate, no autographs.
Very cute. So you play guitar?
Oh no, I just enjoy carrying around empty guitar cases for the hell of it.
So what's the name of your band?
What makes you think I'm in a band? Can a girl just walk through some haunted woods without some random guy surmising conclusions?
Oh, wasn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So
And you
hopefully
might
everybody enjoyed that clip of our
A Short-Term Effect.
short-term effect with our
You might
lead actor.
recognize this handsome man to my left from the film.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Ryan. Okay.
So yeah, everyone check that out on our channel. It's sort of like a variation of like the ghostly hitchhiker story.
And that you wrote directly.
Who wrote
Yeah.
that?
Who wrote that?
Well, yeah, I wrote
Who
that.
wrote
I was
Who
thinking
wrote that?
of. I was thinking more of like you know how like you always hear those stories about the man who picks up the woman and she's been dead for years, she's died in a car accident.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking of it might be like a twist on that with like seeing this girl from the '80s. You know, that used to be, you know, this
Twist,
punk
or you
band.
just completely stole that idea, right?
Well, no. Well, yeah,
Just
A little bit of. I stole it.
well, no. I mean, it's an
homage.
ancient legend. Actually, that legend. I was doing research on that. That legend goes back
It's
to the Middle
It's
Ages.
folklore. It's folklore.
Yeah, like people will see like a horseman like
It's
on a cross.
folklore that goes back hundreds of years, and it's something that has been told down by generations, but yet it still resonates
Yeah,
in
just
today's
a different
culture.
spin. on
Well,
something.
It's a little spin on it. It reminded me of something from Twilight Zone, but the people I've talked to that have seen it really love the setting, and they loved the woods. They thought
Yeah,
it was great.
it's a
They
nice
loved
backdrop.
they loved the woods in the fall.
Mhm.
My co-host for another podcast that I do called "What Are You Afraid Of?" T. Fox Dunham. He actually commented and said when he watched it that
Sorry.
loved the backdrop. He loved the fall, you know, he loved the fall aspect of it.
What
And
is it about the
Halloween,
fall?
autumn, and just
What is it
something
about
along
fall
those-
and autumn? Is it the Halloween
There's something about the
season?
It's Halloween season.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah.
And I think Christmas can be just as
In a different way, yeah.
Now, this is not on my list, and I just want to take a few minutes just to discuss this, because it was a film in 2016, I think. Did you guys see that remake of Blair Witch?
I did.
I didn't see it. I know Phil saw
I actually
it.
saw it with Fox.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fox and I saw it. And
How did it measure up?
I liked it. I liked the first one better. But so you guys never seen it?
No.
Well,
okay,
did you
wow.
see that dreadful sequel that came out like a year later?
I didn't see that
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah,
Was
yeah.
it
That was
Book of Shadows
Yeah.
or something?
Not
That
good.
was very
I don't even consider that. This one would be more of a sequel.
I
to
like the
that.
director. That
To be
was
perfectly honest.
was it Ty West or was it Adam Wingard that did the Blair Witch remake?
It was Adam Wingard.
Wingard. Okay.
And he also directed.
The Guest.
Oh,
Yeah.
good
You're
flick.
Next.
Good flick.
You're Next.
Another good flick.
Yeah,
Mm.
he's good. I like him.
He's good.
I see. I think he was kind of wasted though. With I mean, I didn't see the movie, so I'm not judging if it's bad or good. But I think it was.
He was going with the studio system.
Yeah, I think he actually
I hope this doesn't sound
original
like-
movies are a lot more interesting than like just doing a remake of the Blair Witch. That's why I was never really interested in seeing because like why bother to remake the Blair Witch?
I don't think
You know, I don't know.
that that Adam Wingard wrote any of
Uh-huh.
the new Blair Witch movie, but I read an interview with him, and he said that coverage. He was doing You're Next, and he said that to make a $1 or $2 million movie look like a $8 or $9 or $10 million movie is coverage. When you just shoot it from different angles multiple times, and you cut it all together very quickly, and it makes the movie look like it has a higher budget than it really does. And I thought that was a great piece of filmmaking advice. It was probably it's incredible.
Once again, I don't want to be long-winded.
We didn't do that with
Isn't that what?
we didn't do that with a short-term effect because I don't think it was that kind of a movie.
No, it was. I think it was meant to be very enclosed.
Yeah.
It's very enclosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's little
I was the
venture out in the woods.
I was the
you know?
DP on that, but
Hell of a DP.
right when I started shooting it, I thought about Wingard's interview, and I was like, you know what, that's great advice, but it wouldn't work in this situation.
Mhm.
So Ryan,
So,
let's
number one movie,
let's,
Ryan. It was,
yeah, we're
what's your
running out of
number one?
time, so let's have your number one.
It's not my number one movie
Well-
because I've kind of gone. My list is
you're-
very.
but just your
I
movie.
gotta have my geek moment. I really like you guys. I know you didn't see this. Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, number one. Okay, Star Trek Beyond.
I did not see it.
A
Did you see it?
sequel?
No,
No, I did not see it.
I don't even really want to call it a sequel because you don't have to watch the previous two to kind of get it.
And what's that? I'm sorry, what's that actor's name? Why he's in the green room? And I
Is
Anton.
it Anton Yelkin or Yelkin?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Is he Russian or European?
yeah. He's Russian. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
For the sake
But-
of accuracy, let's look it up so we don't sully this poor man's name.
Sully. Sully. Did you guys see Sully?
No,
No.
that's Tom Hanks, right?
And that's Clint Eastwood.
I heard it was great though.
Yeah.
So Star Trek
I'm gonna
Beyond.
look
So
it
Star
up.
Trek Beyond. Star Trek Beyond. Okay. A good third film, hopefully in an ongoing franchise. It did make a little bit less than the previous one, but it got better reviews.
Anton Yelchin.
Yelchin.
Yelchin. Anton Yelchin.
So he's in both Star Trek Beyond and Green Room.
Bless
But
you. Rest in peace, my man. But yeah, good flick, good summer popcorn movie. See, I'm going more mainstream than you guys are, because you guys are Green Room and The Witch and stuff like that.
Well,
but
well, my next movie's going to go very mainstream.
but
so, yeah.
I have to say,
Extremely so.
I am more mainstream. I do tune in for these things because these things were. I mean, the reason why we do these things and the reasons why we write and make the films that
Well,
we
I
do,
think
because
for-
we've been touched by these milestone franchises from our past, like, you know, your Star Wars and your Star Treks and your
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs and no, but
Young Frankenstein.
no, it's a very enjoyable
I think
movie.
We've talked about it before. That Ryan. This is not good or bad, but Ryan's very mainstream. He really, as far as horror goes, you really, as far as a classic horror goes, you really only like the mainstream. You only like
and
the
Phil and
you
Matt,
only,
to
you
their
only
credit-
really like the Friday the 13th,
No,
Nightmare on
I'm-
Elm Streets, and the Halloweens.
And one person
That's
that
pretty
is
much it.
most critical of Ryan is Ryan, and one thing that Matt and Phil do well is that they will venture out and look at things that someone like me won't give. I mean, a prime example of this, and once again, I don't want to be too long-winded, is a movie like Drive with Ryan Gosling, where I saw the jacket, I saw a poster, I'm like, oh, Drive, oh, it must be like a Fast and the Furious clone or something like that. But no, Phil's like, give it a chance, give it a chance, and I gave it a chance, and oh my God, that was like an effing incredible movie.
The reason I said that is because I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And when I realized that it wasn't a Fast and Furious clone,
Like Need for Speed,
I was like, okay,
Drive. Oh, it
this
must be
is
like,
definitely. And I thought that too, and I was like, when I first saw it, I was kind of forced to go to a theater to see it with one of my ex-girlfriends, and
one of them.
yeah, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like Fast and Furious, it's gonna be like whatever, Need for Speed,
But
whatever.
that was a pleasant surprise. I like being pleasantly
and I was
surprised.
I was very pleasantly surprised with that whole thing. Okay, so
your number one movie.
So
Phil?
thank.
Just let me put a period on the whole Star Trek thing. Obviously, there are Star Wars fans, there are Star Trek fans, there are sci-fi fans. There are some people that don't like Star Wars and Star Trek. There are some people that like more reality-based movies. But Star Trek Beyond, check it out. Hopefully, it's not the last in the franchise. Hopefully, they keep this shit going. But Chris Pine is great. Zachary Quinto is great. Anton Yelchin, may he rest in peace.
Yelchin, rest in peace.
Good ensemble. I'm always a sucker for a good ensemble piece. Good flick. Feel good.
All right.
Okay. Number one movie of the year, Star Wars Rogue One. My favorite movie of the year. Hands down, I thought it was incredible. Blew me away on every aspect. Star Trek was your number one. Star Wars was my number one. And it was just incredible. Wouldn't be too long-winded. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but the movie itself, I thought, was the best one since Empire Strikes Back.
Mm.
That's my opinion.
And once again, not
I
to
liked
too
it
long,
too, but
why are the Star Wars movies getting better and better? Why are
someone's taking over them?
are they worried about quality? Is there a good quality?
What do you mean by better and better?
You
mean from the prequels? You talking about from the prequels?
Yes.
No, I'm being serious.
I didn't want to name names, but the prequel films have their lovers and haters and stuff like that. Force Awakens was good, and then
First of all, George
I'm
Lucas,
reading reviews of Rogue One, and they're putting it in the same bracket as The Empire Strikes Back.
They are.
And that is considered, from the old school trilogy, the best one of the original Star Wars films.
I think it pretty close to ties Jedi. It might a little bit outdo Jedi, a little bit. But I mean,
see, I wouldn't go that far that outdoes Jedi. I think it was the fourth best of the Star Wars.
Would you say it's better than every prequel?
Yes, I would say it's better.
Would you say it's better than Force Awakens?
I would say it's a little bit better than Force Awakens. So it's not heads and shoulders above it.
Not heads and shoulders, but it's still, you think it's better.
Yeah,
so you would still say it's the best one since Jedi?
I would say, yeah. Best one since Jedi.
Why is The Empire Strikes Back rated like the best of the original trilogy?
Well, actually, we should probably talk about that for another podcast, because that's going to be our...
Just talk about it in like 45 seconds.
I think the reason why it's considered the best is, personally, I think it's because of the Han-Leia relationship. As far as that's the...
Because people have accused that movie, these people, this 1% percentile that hate The Empire Strikes Back have accused it of having no story.
Well, I don't see that.
Plenty of story.
Yeah,
that's
ridiculous. Actually,
Luke going to get trained by Yoda, and Han and Leia just evading the Empire.
Yeah, but it's
weren't you the kid in the background?
Possibly. I was actually
toddler.
I was the thing in the bog.
Well, let's wrap up this with.
Let's wrap it up.
I'm gonna give me my.
Your number one.
Are you done with Rogue One?
I'm done with Rogue One. Rogue One. My favorite since Empire Strikes Back, and
it's a bold statement.
And my favorites of 2016.
All right, so my number one movie is actually, I've already mentioned, I think, twice already, so my thunder's kind of like stolen.
That's right.
It's Conjuring 2.
Oh, and, Conjuring's completely...
Yeah, that was been conjured to death.
Your Conjuring thunder was completely...
Yeah, so that was a little... Yeah.
Isn't it funny that we all have Conjuring 2?
Yeah, we also... Now, Conjuring 2 is interesting because we
have
saw that in
similar
the
tastes.
theater.
We have similar
That's what, like, the only movie that Ryan saw in the theater this year. We all saw it together.
Is
And
that
like,
the only movie you've seen in the theater this year?
I think so, yeah.
and
Well, I work like 142 hours a week. I'm sorry.
Okay, but
and the one night we went on like a Wednesday night to go see this movie, and of course there was a pack of like 14-year-old kids
Oh,
running
yeah.
around.
Just ruining it for the old
And,
guys.
you know, and, like who goes to the theater
Taking
on
our
a Wednesday
seats
and acts up like that? But anyway, so The Conjuring 2 is actually the only movie of 2016 that we all saw together in a theater.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and it was I think it was released in the summer. It was in June, I believe. Actually, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's equal to the first one. I think they're both equally good. James Wan's a very good director. I think he's very influential as far as the modern horror movies in the past decade. I mean, he wrote and directed Saw. Did he direct Saw too? Did he? I know he wrote Saw. Did he direct Saw as well?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay.
He directed Saw, yeah.
So that's kind of like one of the movies that kind of kick-started this like horror resurgence.
Yeah.
So I think James Wan's a very influential director.
Just like, not to get off topic, but just like Lights Out,
Mm-hmm.
started out as a short film.
Right.
Saw. Same
Started
thing.
as a short film, right?
Started out as a short film and got made into a feature film based on the short film.
Yeah.
Two
So-
interesting examples.
And well, a couple final things about Conjuring 2 is we already talked about a lot of this already, but the Warrens have a great relationship. I actually like the setting in England. I think that's a little bit different. Setting in England like this, in the 70s, like the punk era, which is like probably my favorite time period. As far as like late 70s, early 80s.
Focus more on the Amityville thing because they kind of only.
Well, I think the Amityville's been done to death. So
already
they
had
want to do
Amityville.
something
They don't
different.
Yeah, but if you get
Yeah.
a director like James Wan,
I think if
doing
they
Amityville.
do, maybe the third, that's pushing.
Well,
but
I
maybe
think
the
they.
fourth.
I'd rather see fresh stories other than just Amityville.
I agree.
over and over
It's
again.
a rehash.
Like I didn't know anything about this story actually. And was the Enfield Poltergeist?
Amityville has, yeah.
I mean, the one that's
Amityville's
Conjuring
done
too.
with that, but yeah.
But so I liked the background, like the setting, like punk era England. I thought it was a great movie. It was suspenseful and it was very well done. So that's my number one movie.
because there are
Okay, great.
files
The-
upon files.
Oh yeah, they
At least
have.
from what
I
the
mean, they can
film
keep doing
said.
these indefinitely. I'm sure
Yeah.
they won't, but
Okay, so
Alright.
I think we'll wrap it up here. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Like us, subscribe, please. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good weekend, good week. Please check out A Short-Term Effect on our channel. Please subscribe to our channel. Please check out the short film. Please check out the next short film, Going Home. And we're going to have a lot more content coming up. I'm Phil Thomas.
Matt Brooks.
Ryan McGinley, and please leave your comments about the quality of my acting and short-term effect in the little comment box below. So feel free.
Yes. And we'll see you next time.